Roundball Rock Podcast, starring Dave Schilling, Max Zaslofsky, Bela Smalley, Joey Devine, Kenny Sailors, Bobby Wanzer, Harry Boykoff, Sean Keane, Dyke Edelman, Bones McKinney, Patreons, Jarvis, thank you Jarvis, Jacob Potter, thank you Jacob, Dave Rock, thank you Dave, musical guest, Onyx, and now the temporary host of the Roundball Rock Podcast, Joey Devine.
Hi, it's me, Joey Devine, your temporary host of the Roundball Rock Podcast, and we are back with a brand new surprise episode. Even to me, I thought we were taking the week off of the Roundball Rock Podcast. Sean Keane, how are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So Don Pardo there thanked, Dave Rock. One of our Patreons. Do you think Dave is at all related to Bob Rock, the man who produced, Metallica's, Some Kind of Monster album?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he
is too.
Like, he knows that therapist, right?
Yeah. Dr. Phil Towell? Yeah, he for sure knows him.
Do you think he's ever been in one of James Hetfield's little cars?
Oh, of course, dude. Do you think Dave Rock has ever heard James Hetfield tell the story about how sad he was that he couldn't attend the birth of his son because he was hunting bears in Siberia?
Yeah, I think he's probably heard that story a couple times and was like, you could have come back.
Yeah, you didn't have to hunt bears in Siberia.
That's not at all your job.
Before we get started on the show, just wanted to mention patreon.com/roundrockpod. Thank you to all our Patreons, and thank you to you, our listeners, even if you can't afford to be our Patreon. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you have. And if you have multiple platforms, like, say, a Spotify account or a YouTube account, if you could subscribe to us there, too. People say it helps. I don't know. 5 stars only. It's weird iTunes only lets you give 5-star reviews, though. I will say that.
It's weird, but, I like
those
what
are the
it does
rules.
to our score, but yeah.
We have a jam-packed show for you today, so let's just get straight to the news, huh?
Yeah.
This is Roundball Rock News. Basketball news. For humans and robots. Trust the process.
Alright, Sean. Our first story was alerted to us by birthday boy / podcast host / the only guest we've ever had whose wedding I've talked at, Chris Garcia.
Yes.
He DM'd us this right before today's episode. Do you want to run us through this news story?
Yeah. So this is he sent us a post from Instagram user Tawny Antle, who is the daughter of Doc Antle, also known as Bogrvan Antle, the proprietor of the Myrtle Beach Safari Wild Encounters Park, which has possibly illegal big cats. He's kind of like a mentor and a rival to Joe Exotic from Tiger King. At first I thought Tawny Antle was one of his wives because she is the correct age to be her father's wife, but she is actually a daughter. She is not one of the 3 wives. Anyway, this picture features Tawny Antle standing in front of an elephant with a shirtless D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, he's hanging out with elephants and the daughter of the rival of the Tiger King?
That's right. This is, I think he's more of like an inspiration because I think they want the same kind of wild animal park / free labor providing sex cult. Like, they both have kind of the same business model in terms of that. D'Angelo Russell is shirtless. He is wearing some shorts that look like they have skulls on them. They're like chains of skulls.
Are you telling me, though, that D'Angelo Russell broke quarantine to go to the Myrtle Beach Safari Animal Preserve?
I think it's possible. Right?
I mean,
they've been closed, but it seems like celebs maybe get special treatment there. There is a picture of Tawny with Odell Beckham Jr. earlier on her timeline. A lot of celebs. She also posted on Mother's Day. There's a picture of her and her mom on an elephant too. So it's quite a.
Here's a question for you, Sean.
Sure.
Is D'Angelo Russell the most Myrtle Beach NBA player?
Oh, absolutely. Like, if there was somebody who, like, Shaq's in the Tiger King documentary, but, like, Shaq is the kind of guy where, like, if you have a tiger, I feel like that already puts you kind of in the Shaq zone where you could casually meet him. D'Angelo Russell seems like a guy who's maybe going out of his way to visit dangerous animals, like, so he can have a picture with a tiger on his Tinder profile, maybe, or I guess it would be Raya.
Here's the thing, though. Do you think, is D'Angelo Russell more Myrtle Beach than Chandler Parsons?
Oh man, it's hard to say because there's a
or
way
is Chandler Parsons more Florida than South Carolina?
He feels like he's more Florida, just like he feels very Tampa to me.
Yeah,
but like. I think the beach lifestyle, the access to institutional polyamory, I think he's really into that, but I think he is maybe beyond big cats, except, like, I could see Chandler Parsons owning a tiger and using it to, like, seduce underage women, but not so much visiting someone else's tigers, if that makes sense.
Because to me, Myrtle Beach is very Kenny Powers, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I guess the question sort of is D'Angelo Russell currently the most Kenny Powersy of the NBA players, right? I mean, that's the question we're really asking.
It sort of feels like he's been kicked off 2 professional teams, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in both cases, it was, a trade and they got something and there were other choices. But, like, it's rare that you see an NBA All-Star get traded twice in the 12 months after becoming.
Hasn't he been on 4 teams in 4.5 years?
Yes, he has.
Something?
Yeah. The Timberwolves are his 4th team. So, yeah, he's... I could just see a lot, like, I could see him trying to sell those paintings of butts, either selling or painting butts at Myrtle Beach. You know what I mean?
But Chandler Parsons has for sure been to Myrtle Beach, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. He might even own property there.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he's more likely to use that property to, like, rip off vacation and college kids rather than actually stay there himself. Like
selling,
the undercurrent of evil.
Counterfeit Spanish fly or something.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I'm sure there's times when he's like rented the property under different names to different people at the same time and just been like, I don't know, you work it out.
All right, that's our news.
That's the only news in the NBA right now. I guess
shouldn't we pretend to be mad that James Harden wasn't on that stupid conference call? Isn't that
right.
Actually the news we're supposed to be talking about?
Yeah, the Voltron of NBA superstars. So it was. I mean, he just didn't want to talk to Chris Paul, right?
Well, it was LeBron, Chris Paul, Giannis,
Steph,
Kawhi.
Yeah, Kawhi, probably a real active participant on that.
No, they actually said no, but they actually people who were, like, whatever, sources,
Mhm.
said that Kawhi was the one who actually talked the most.
Wow, I would assume he wouldn't even start the video.
No, but you know why, though, right? He wants to win a championship. Like, Kawhi just wants to... Kawhi only cares about basketball. He's a basketball robot, you know what I mean?
Oh, right. So he actually... The pandemic has not been affecting him, except that he's not going to work quite as much.
Right.
And then he's like, well, I have these ideas about basketball that I wanted to share. And Chris Paul's like, you know, for those of us with families, Kawhi's like, yeah, well, those of us with basketball teams are concerned about making the season go again. And Steph Curry's like, yeah, we were thinking about a charity thing for giving away food. And Kawhi's like, when are we going to play basketball again?
I do think, I want to defend Dwight Powell for a second, who is also on that call.
Wait, oh, because he's in the Players Association. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, everyone on Twitter was like, what the fuck is Dwight Powell doing there? And it's like, because he's really active in the union and actually cares.
Yeah,
like they weren't calling people based on their basketball skill, you morons.
Yeah, it's not like they're drafted. Come on.
You don't have to be good at basketball to be a union representative. And also, Dwight Powell is good at basketball. Just because you don't watch the Mavs, I mean, he's not as good as those guys, but Dwight Powell's a good player, man.
Yeah, he's good. What is Dwight Powell's job?
I mean, I think he's just been the Mavericks rep for like a really long time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh,
and they have a committee. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's probably just on the committee because he went to Stanford, you know?
Yeah. He also went to the prestigious IMG Academy.
Yeah, he sure did. All right. Did you know the IMG Academy is in Bradenton, Florida?
Is that where Coach Nick, the original Coach Nick?
Well, I mean, not our Coach Nick.
No.
The
inferior Coach Nick.
Bradenton, Florida seems like wherever that school in Infinite Jest is that
the
Hunters from.
Yeah, where they smash computers.
Yeah.
Nick Bollettieri is who I'm...
Okay, we're way too sidetracked. Anyway...
it is in Bradenton, by the way. And also, by the way, his academy is near Bradenton. It is in an unincorporated place called Manatee County.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah. This is our tribute to the Southeast.
A couple of things to plug before we get to our main part of our show. Listen to Dave Schilling's podcast, Full Court Chat. The first episode comes up this week on Wednesday, I believe. Also, listen to the new podcast from one of our favorite guests and one of our favorite people, Sean Woodley and Katie Heindel, called Basketball. And that's it, right? Those are the only friendly... Oh, and then Jad's dad Milo. I didn't get a chance to record a trivia question with Wilms this week, but we'll be giving away a new copy of Jad's dad Milo from John Wilmes next week. All right. Sean.
Yes.
We don't know anything about basketball, right? That's
Not
kind of
really,
our thing.
No.
We're idiots. We don't understand the cap. We don't really understand switchability.
No.
Shooting.
We're not scouts.
No, we don't know anything. All we know is to say really stupid things and then also compare NBA players to other things. That's kind of our number one thing, right? But luckily, we know two guys who do know some things about basketball. And they hoodwinked us into giving us a podcast, giving them a podcast that is in the middle of our podcast. And it's called Slamm'd Up with Brett Slamson and Randy Ledoux. And here are those guys.
This is Slamm'd Up with Brett Sampson and Randy Ledoux. Analytics, friendship, efficiency, and promo codes. These guys are fucking dorks.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Slammed Up Basketball Podcast, the only analytics basketball podcast that is embedded inside another podcast, as I'm hoping to do inside wherever the NBA decides to restart, whether it's Orlando, Florida, wherever it is Disneyland, or whether it is my choice, Hedonism 2. With me, as often, on the Slammed Up Podcast is Randy Ledoux. Randy, how are you?
Oh, it's going okay. How are you, Brett?
I'm doing pretty well. I am, of course, bunkering in my basement / dungeon / biosphere with my mistress, my common law wife, and my girlfriend, and, we're connected by a, password protected, tunnel from the secret family that is living in a bunker underneath the rental property. It's very spacious, luxury accommodations, nothing but the best, at the rental property. Where you used to live, Randy.
I used to live there. Why don't you tell the listeners where you're making me live now? Because I can't afford to pay rent because of a global pandemic.
Oh, yeah, well, I am a landlord rights activist, and, the secret family is in the bunker, is in the bunker / basement. I have rented out, Randy's old doghouse, to, just an Airbnb, client who's been there for quite a while. Also, the dollhouse has been, rented out to a small mouse, who can also afford to pay rent. So, Randy right now has been, living under the stairs, Harry Potter style, inside the dollhouse. So, because he's a wizard of, analytics. Is that right,
It's
Randy?
only because you're not allowed to evict me permanently.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not allowed to evict you permanently just because, these liberal governors are overstepping their bounds and, messing with the free market of renters. So, that's a disgrace. We'll talk more about that later. But, Randy, what have you been up to during the pandemic lockdown?
Been running Joe Biden's Zoom meetings.
Wait, what was that?
Been running Joe Biden's Zoom meeting.
Wait, what was that?
I'm running Joe Biden's Zoom meetings!
Mm-hmm. You, are you the technical consultant for that? I know you have a background in politics.
I do have a background in politics, and I do not have a background in IT work, and I don't know why they're making me do this, but I'm currently on a Zoom call right now. I hope you can't hear it in the background.
I heard there was like a little bit of a muttering and the groping sounds in the background. I do know from...
You would know what that sounds like.
I do know what that sounds like. Yes. Well, before we get going with the rest of the podcast, I do want to talk about one of our new sponsors. Now, this is...
I gotta say real quick, yeah. Pete Buttigieg, if you're listening to this, stop changing your Zoom background. It confuses Mr. President-elect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what does Pete change his to?
Lumineers concert.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
No one knows who the Lumineers are in the Buttigieg campaign. I mean, in the Biden campaign, Buttigieg.
Does he ever...
And also,
mm-hmm.
I swear to God, Beto, if you break another iPad because you're Zooming while skateboarding, I will teleport to your home, shrink down small enough to get into your lines of cocaine, enter your brain, and hollow it out from the inside.
Whoa, that is a threat. Well, yeah, you shouldn't be skateboarding with an iPad. Is he helpful? Does he have any good policy advice?
He just curses.
Oh, well, that's... I mean, I do like that.
I don't like dirty words.
Is he abusive? Does he yell at people?
No, not at all. He just kind of yells into the sky. He's kind of just like, "Fuck, man!"
Man, that's cuck behavior right there. Throw into the sky like that. You gotta target your abuse, especially if you want to be taken seriously in national politics. You got to be mean. You got to be a bully. That's those are the rules.
Well, you know who does that on the Zoom calls?
Who's that?
You can guess.
Is it your old boss, Miss Klobuchar?
It is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you so small that things she throws at you don't actually hit you?
Yes. I mean, look. She can't throw things at me through Zoom, but she does throw things at the camera at me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems very distressing.
But you know what? I don't mind replacing her laptops and iPads because she tells me to do it, so I don't mind. But I swear to God, Beto, I am gonna get you if you break another iPad off that skateboard.
Oh, whoa, okay. Well, you know what? I support that. That's reckless, and you know what? You've read my manifesto. I believe skateboarding is a crime. So, yeah, I hope the resources of the Biden Justice Administration will finally ticket that reckless skateboarder / drunk driver / potty mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get going, I want to talk about one of our sponsors. It's Instacart. Now, if you need essential items during quarantine, it is dangerous to go out shopping and into crowds. You need someone who will post up in those lines, call for the products, and never ever pass on your order. That's why there's Instacart, the delivery service for and by Carmelo Anthony. Now, for your security concerns, Melo will wear an N95 hoodie while he makes pickups for any of your essential items, from fedoras to fried chicken from a strip club buffet. And just like when he plays defense on the perimeter, Melo will stay 6 feet away from any potential COVID-19 carriers. Priority given to clients in the Portland, New York, and Houston areas. The Chicago and Atlanta offices shut down after just a few days, but he will deliver anywhere a banana boat can sail. And for Slammed Up listeners, take 20% off your first order with promo code Catch and Shoot 3-point percentage. It's easy to remember. We talk about it all the time on the podcast. Instacart. Instacart. It may be expensive and overrated, but it delivers in the clutch. Sometimes. Alright, so, I have some exciting news for you, Randy. You've been doing your political work. I'm doing my own sort of, activist work. I have teamed up with a group of analytics celebrities, including Nate Silver, Dean Oliver, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Gal Gadot, Sam Hinkie, and we're going to sing an a cappella version of the NBA's collective bargaining agreement from our various homes. It's going to be great. Neil will break in periodically to explain that the salary cap is not a literal head covering, and cap room isn't space for your head. And a free agent actually costs something to acquire. It's not at all patronizing. It's not pedantic. It's going to be very entertaining. Randy, I fucking love the science of capology. And when I say that, Neil, I mean that I get enjoyment out of the exploration of the topic. You and I both know that I am not capable of true human love. So check that out. We're hoping that video, that's the one thing that we're hoping does go viral during this pandemic. You know what I'm saying, Randy? All right. So we have got a special project. This was number 8 on our list of 88 perspective topics for us. We are going to draft the greatest NBA teams of all time. We have a projected salary cap budget of $100 million, and we've adjusted for historical exchange rates. Randy, you have an algorithm that is giving us real-time inflation values. That's right.
I sure do.
Mm-hmm. And before the draft, I should mention this. Randy, you wanted the first pick in this draft, and I gave it to you in exchange for your first 6 picks in this draft. Is that right?
It's true.
We're doing some
I wanted the first pick. I've got
wheeling
look
and dealing.
We're drafting the greatest NBA team of all time. You got to get the first pick.
Mm-hmm. It's important. I went for the Sam Hinkie model of lots of picks because nothing pans out better than a first-round pick in the NBA draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him, but I was
all right.
then. I said first game, but I
wait. Sorry, I forgot to mute Biden again on the Zoom call. Give me a second.
Okay, sure.
Okay, there he is.
What does he mean by a holler? Is he hollering at somebody?
Don't worry about it, man.
Okay.
Come on, man. Just let him go.
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I don't want to add any malarkey to this chat.
All right. So with my first pick, I wanted someone switchy,
Mm-hmm.
someone who could guard multiple positions,
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay.
someone who's a pretty good passer,
Daddy
someone
likes.
who's not dead,
Oh, yeah. Young.
and someone who's on a
Supple.
very team-friendly deal.
Oh, my God. Yes. Keep. Oh, I love it, Randy.
And so, with my first pick in the Randy Ledoux greatest NBA team of all time, I am selecting Bam Adebayo.
What? Ugh. You midget son of a bitch.
I'm sorry?
How dare you?
Were you going to take him first?
Bam Adebayo is the most valuable player in the entire league. He's switchy. His name is onomatopoeic. He can dunk. That contract. Just thinking about that contract just gets me fired up. Randy. What an incredible pick. I've been
He's only
ripped
22.
off. All right, I think because you got Bam Adebayo, the only thing that's fair is if I get the next 12 picks in the draft.
I don't know if that's what I'd call fair, Brett.
Yeah, that's exactly what I call fair. I am the commissioner, the player agent, and the owner of Slams and Slammers, my team. You have the Randy's Ledudes, right? Is that your team franchise name?
Randy's Ledudes.
All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead with my second pick. This is for the greatest team in NBA history. I am going to be taking Odie Spears of the 1953 Rochester Royals. He's a small forward. He gives me some size on the perimeter, and best of all, his contract was for $140 a week. So that works out pretty well for our cap projections here. All right, with pick number 2, I'm going to be taking the second best player in the current NBA behind Bam Adebayo. It's a guy named Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham, one of our favorites. We talk about him all the time on the podcast.
Repeatable shooting motion. So repeatable.
And with my third pick, I couldn't help but reunite the 1953 Rochester Royals, one of the most cost-efficient teams. I'm taking Cal Christensen with pick number 3.
What a pick!
All right, and before we continue the draft, we're going to have to talk about one of our new sponsors. It's called Zoom Dizzle. Now, Zoom Dizzle is the video conferencing software from Baron Boom Dizzle Davis, and it is exactly what you need to spice up your mundane office chats. Whether you're planning a post-game party at Willie Nelson's hotel room, or telling Elton Brand to go fuck himself from across the country, Zoom Dizzle lets you video chat with swag. Unlike Zoom, Zoom Dizzle has a bunch of important features. There's a Sterling mode, which listens for abusive and racist comments and automatically mutes the user. For hosts, there's also the Kirilenko button, which slams a user out of a chat so violently that they'll have to convince their wife to let them have sex with a random woman once every year just to retain some sense of manhood. Also, I do want to be clear that monogamy is an antiquated social artifact, and if a soul-crushing dunk is what it takes to shake off the puritanical ethos that tries to emasculate men by limiting the inherent human tendency towards sex with as many partners as physically and economically possible, so be it. You're free, Andre. Moving on, there's also a suite of exclusive backgrounds. You can chat in front of the spot at Oracle Arena Dirk Nowitzki punched. You can chat in front of the ceiling tile in the Staples Center where Doc Rivers hit all that money. You can also chat in front of Laura Dern's pool house. And if you provide age verification, you can use Andres Biedron's giant hot tub as a background. You can get a free 7-day trial of Zoom Dizzle with promo code multiple concurrent sexual relationships. It's easy to remember. We talk about it all the time on the podcast.
You do.
Zoom Dizzle, the best way to connect from distance. All right, going back to the draft. Let's
wait,
rosters.
Brett, before you pick, I forgot. I unmuted the Zoom call again, and now Hamilton is playing.
Joe Biden's a Hamilton fan?
No, it's not Biden. Guess who it is?
Is it Lin-Manuel Miranda?
I mean, it's his thing, but no.
Is it Obama?
It's Mayor Pete.
Oh,
Sometimes
no.
he just plays Hamilton songs.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to pick a VP.
How many women are you looking at right now?
Hundreds.
That reminds me of me on J-Date.
I mean...
I can say that as a Jew.
Okay, sorry, I'm muted. Review the draft.
All right, so far, I've got a roster of Jake Pelkington. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've got Devontae. I'll give you a preview there. Sorry,
thank you.
I've got
Telegraphed
Devontae
a
Graham,
pick.
Odie Spears, and Cal Christensen. A little preview of who my fourth pick would be. I'll have to edit that out later if I can get this lube off my hands enough to work the editing equipment. And your team has Bam Adebayo.
I'm liking my chances still.
Okay, well, number 4, cat's out of the bag. I'm picking Jake Pelkington of the 1949 Fort Wayne Pistons. He was second in true shooting with 8.9 points per game, and plus he has a salary equivalent to a migrant worker in Salinas, California in 2020. So I think Jake Pelkington's going to help us handling the ball and handling our contracts. Let's move quickly through picks 5 through 8. I will be taking John Day Porter, Juan Toscano Anderson, Brandon Goodwin, and Isaiah Briscoe.
Great contracts.
Yeah, 4 amazing contracts. This cap sheet's going to look incredible. With my 9th pick, I'm going to splurge a little bit here. I'm going to take DeAndre Jordan, third all time in career offensive rating.
He's not that switchy, man.
Well, I've got to spend this money somewhere, and offensive rating is absolutely the best judge of a player's offensive rating. Obviously, DeAndre Jordan, that's why he's number 3. He sets screens, and he barely shoots. That's
and how repeatable is his shooting motion?
Well, his dunk is pretty repeatable, but
I mean, if he can get there,
well,
Bam's guarding him.
I agree, but the numbers are there. I can't debate that. Which is also why my my 10th pick will be Amir Johnson, also in the top 30 of offensive rating, and that's in NBA history.
Am I allowed to pick anytime soon?
Oh yeah. You can have a pick next.
Oh, I get to pick next. Okay, can I fill out my whole roster with the one pick?
I mean, do what you need to.
Okay. With my next pick, I would like to select 12 10-day contracts.
Oh.
I'm just gonna fill it out throughout the course of the season.
Okay. That's an incredible amount of cap work. Now, granted, you're going to have to be paying them at 2020 wages, whereas you're not going to get one of those Pelkington bargains at the time. But
I think look, if I can pick any NBA player, I think maybe I could sign, say, Kevin Garnett to 2 10 days throughout the course of the season.
I don't really
based
think
on matchups.
I don't think he's really going to agree to that, but
there's only 2 teams in this league. If you don't pick him,
he's already under contract for next season, Randy.
With who?
With the Brooklyn Nets. That's why
I
we have
Kevin
these salary
Garnett.
parts. Oh, Kevin Garnett.
Historical.
Oh, Kevin Garnett now.
No, Minnesota, whatever.
Okay,
this
so
is it's a hypothetical 2-team league.
What's he making
right?
in Minnesota? Salaries are never hypothetical, Randy. I told you that. I tell you that every day. What a player does on the court is much less important than what he is on the balance sheet, and that number is forever.
I'm gonna live forever.
You probably are. Actually, it's distressing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with my next
you better
pick,
be nice to me, or haunt your children's children.
Well, I've had 3 or 4 vasectomies.
Keep going.
I mean, sometimes I do it just so I can feel something again down there. You know what I'm saying?
No.
All right, my next pick, with pick 11, I'm taking Jack Tingle of the 1948 Minneapolis Lakers. He was paid in oats, I believe. He had a struggling family that season. If we're looking at our guy here, what are his per game numbers? I just want to share this for you. Jack Tingle, 2 games. He averaged half a field goal on 3 attempts a game. He half an assist, 1 foul. I think he's going to be a great addition to the team. Jack Tingle, based on his age that season, he's 25 years old. So just 2 great years before.
And you're paying him in
dead.
oats?
He's dead in the dirt. I'm still paying him in oats. Yes.
But what if, say, I wanted to sign him to one of my multiple 10-day contracts?
Well, I already drafted him. I've got his draft rights.
It's just hard because, like, time... You and I view time in very different ways.
Yeah, you're kind of seeing things sort of as they happen over and over again.
Yeah, I can
And,
see
like,
time is not a thing for me.
You're a lot like a tiny Dr. Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. Like, I
because of your
could
experiment.
say, in my mind, I could say, sign him right before he signs that Oates contract to my 10-day.
Well, aren't we going with their actual salary values? These are immutable things.
But I mean, this is
Once something
also
goes
a
onto a cap
two-team
sheet-
league that
Well,
has
if
Torrey
you're just
Craig.
talking-
that has. Go ahead.
If you're doing that, I'll sign LeBron to a $1 a year contract. Well, what? How can you steal my oat guy?
I'm not trying to steal
The
your
Oat
oat
Man.
guy. I was
The
just
Oat
asking
Man.
you a question.
Well, look, this is the Oat Man. We got a Quaker sponsorship lined up. And he's gonna be the sponsor of Gruel. It was a big food in 1947. I think we're gonna bring it back after this pandemic when the meat supplies, the supply chain backs down, and your options are eating oats or killing a beloved family pet just to get the protein. And with my very last pick in this draft, player number 12, Kevin Herter.
Oh
Kevin
no!
Herter. Did you want Herter?
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he might have a lot of sunscreen, and we could save on some
Injury
costs
prone.
from that. Yeah, it's definitely injured. Also,
So do
red
I get
hair.
to pick? So I have 12 empty roster spots that I'm going to fill with 10-day contracts throughout the year.
10-day contracts. Mm-hmm.
I've Bam Adebayo. That puts my roster at 13, so I can pick one more person.
Yeah. You have Bam, and then you have 12 10-day contracts spots. Okay. Yep.
Shane Battier,
You son of a bitch.
the no stats all-star.
I hate that he has no stats, but I love that he's an all-star, and I love explaining to people things that they might not. This gets me so angry just thinking about him setting screens and refusing to shoot. Late in the shot
Repeatable
clock to
shoot.
protect
His
his
look,
pretenders.
but his shooting. It's so repeatable. The motion.
It's one of the most repeatable things I've ever seen
He's
in my fucking
switchable?
life, Randy.
He's switchable. He went
He's
to
switchable.
Duke.
Oh my
The
god!
only
It's
thing
like
you don't
it's,
like is he's 4-year college player.
he is a 4-year college player, which normally would scam you, but it makes him a better value somehow. Just thinking about him, his nickname's the President. I can pretend I'm just looking at a corporation instead of a basketball team. He was a college player of the year at Duke. He won a national title. He has rings. He played in Memphis on a famously versatile team put together by Jerry West. They traded Rudy Gay in exchange for him. What a deal that was to get
The all stats no star for the no stats all star.
It's like somebody trading you a blowjob for a bucket of poison. Wow, that's a great team, Randy.
Thank you.
I feel like I should have picked more Rochester Royals in hindsight, but Jesus, Bam Adebayo and Shane Battier together. That's been in not just one of my late night dream fate. We're gonna have to talk about another sponsor. This is all right. Our new sponsor. So this is from TikTok. If you're anything like me, you are starved for premium short form erotic content in this pandemic. There's only so much on OnlyFans, on XTube, and Bjornhub, the online erotic video collection of Swedish tennis superstar Bjorn Borg. So when you need to nut, but you literally only have seconds, check out our new sponsor, TikTok. It's all the short form wacky content and special dances you've come to expect from TikTok, but with full frontal nudity. I personally love the lookalikes of those girls who were at All-Star Weekend and the women's lacrosse team who did the lip dub of Last Tango in Paris, but there's so much more out there for anyone 18 and over or 16 and over in certain counties in Kansas and most of the European Union. I've got my own TikTok account where I'll be breaking down film of James Dean's greatest lovemaking scenes, plus previews for the live Chatterbait play-by-play that I've been doing on Thursday nights with my co-host Anthony Weiner since they canceled the NBA season. It's $19.99 per month, but you can get a trial week for just $2 with promo code 10% escrow reduction. It's easy. all the time on the podcast. TikTok. Real videos, real people, real nuts. Thank you, TikTok. Randy, are you on TikTok?
No.
I
Why
feel
would
like
I be on TikTok?
Well, I mean, I would say that you're too old, but you're ageless. So I feel like you still, it would still be acceptable for you.
I'm still on Vine. Vine till I die.
Fair enough.
I'm basically the third Paul brother.
Also,
I have one of those haircuts where it swoops.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, like the MySpace haircut, you know?
It doesn't seem like your hair has grown in quarantine.
No, I can control it with my mind.
Oh, well, that's is that what Alfred Payton did?
No. He's out of the league. Who cares? We don't need to think about him.
He's just slothful.
Can't
I'd like
shoot.
to update. Yes. Before we move on to I would like to announce a post draft trade. I have traded John Day Porter and Isaiah Briscoe for Wesley Matthews.
No! I was going to sign him to a 10-day.
He's on a veteran contract. He's going to do a great job as the ninth man on the team. I think he's going to do a fantastic job backing up Pelkington. And I think he actually, now that I have that extra roster spot, I'm going to fill it with John McLaughlin to start ahead of Wesley Matthews, fourth in effective field goal percentage. All right. As you know, I do not just do a basketball podcast or Chatterbait play-by-play and investment advice. I also have a podcast within a podcast within a podcast that is all about the COVID-19 epidemic. Also hosted as often, co-hosted with Randy Ledoux. Please.
Let's be honest. I'm just a fill-in co-host because No Tech Ben is still in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm. He's isolated. He's not allowed to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I exchange Bitmojis with him every day, but I'm not sure what he's up to. He seems trapped. I hope he's. But yeah, this is called. Please enjoy a podcast within a podcast within a podcast. The Chinese Virus Hourly News Podcast. Now, for you first-time listeners to the Chinese Virus Hourly News Podcast, it is the only coronavirus podcast within a podcast within a podcast. I am your host, Brett Slamson. I am an ideal host because I have a legal background, as many of you know, so I can identify and help you out with all of the states and businesses and Democratic politicians that you might want to sue after this. So, kept your case together. We've successfully reopened a fantastic Sam's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
We did.
The threat of a class action lawsuit. We have one of the lesser Six Flags Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're reopening on Friday. And also we got a petting zoo in Madison, Wisconsin reopened.
Mm-hmm.
So
we did.
And you're allowed to pet the bats thanks to our legal efforts. A lot of people thought that would not work, but we threatened an injunction. We had Scott Walker write an amicus brief, and congratulations, you're welcome. America's Dairyland. Feel free to pet animals and each other. So first of all, just a little bit of business. We have updated the virus spreadsheets to include the mortality rates from West Palm Beach and American Samoa. So Patreon subscribers, check that out. That should be updated in your spreadsheet folder. Also an update on our computerized death predictions. Randy, do you want to take a guess?
170,000 fatalities.
That's correct. Just above 170,000 fatalities. That's great.
It's basically a flu.
Yeah.
It's just the flu.
It's like the flu. It's actually better than the flu, I would say, because the flu, I mean, it's every year. We've only had 1 year of this. Of course, our computer death predictions are done by the Biological Immunology Analytics System, also known as BIAS, BIAS. And of course, to check our work, we have a brother computer. The other system is called the Longitudinal Epidemiological Network, or LEN. We factored in the state's reopening, bleach drinking deaths, and we have now added a strength of immune system adjustment for Alabama and Mississippi. How do you feel about those stats? Were you looking at the spread?
I was looking at the spreadsheets today, and I've got to say, again, it's time for the country to reopen. Money is more important than lives. We can't let the economy fail. It's like Joe Biden was just saying on this Zoom call, we're gonna do, Medicare for all, but it's more like you also pay private companies for it.
Yeah. Double dipping is what we call it.
Yeah.
That's why Slamm'd Corp went big on, what they call vulture capitalist hospitals.
It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, what, we're gonna forgive student loans? Come on.
Yeah, we've been in talks to buy that.
That being said, I cannot pay my rent this month again.
No, that's true, and you will be working it off, doing a task. Your rent has been reduced since you are living under the stairs in a dollhouse, but I am, remember when you're paying it off, that does not touch the principal. You're paying the vigorish.
Can you talk to that mouse that lives above me?
Well, I mean, the mouse is paying.
Yeah, but could you tell him to keep it down at night?
It's a little loud. Yeah, he's kind of a party mouse, don't you think?
Yeah, he's definitely.
I met him in Ibiza. That's how you say it.
That is not how you say it. But
Ibiza.
Okay, keep going.
Ibiza.
Keep going.
Yes,
it's Ibiza.
Ibiza.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're a party animal.
Oh, great.
You should stick with hedonism too. All right. Speaking of which, when is hedonism 2 gonna reopen? Are they open now? Is it an essential business?
Well, I've if my legal motions pass, it should be open any hour. I basically send a new motion every 15 minutes that they're open, and I'm hoping to bury them in paperwork the same way I bury myself in the flesh of 19-year-old women when I'm there. All right, so before we get into the new news about the Chinese virus, I want to thank another sponsor. This is called, well, let me just get into this ad read. If you're like me, you're not letting the pandemic lock down your erotic life. But of course, it's important to take precautions. For example, my safe word is hydroxychloroquine, except when I'm doing tropical field hospital roleplay where using malarial drugs is too confusing, in which case my safe word is Hollinger. That is my safe word, except when I'm doing tropical field hospital roleplay with an analytics expert, in which case my safe word is full 5-year max contract for a 30-year-old. Randy, that is perfect because I would never say that except in a safe word situation.
Right, of course.
But with the new CDC guidelines that caution against droplet-heavy activities, we need to make adjustments. Obviously, the kissing prohibition doesn't matter to me. As you know, I talk about it all the time on the podcast. But the guidelines about, quote, tossing a blue apron salad are worrying. Randy, I'm talking about analingus here.
Yeah, I figured as much.
So I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop going through the back door. But when I do eat ass, I use the longest, switchiest, safe step option for all sexual mouth play. It's the damn Autobio, the dental dams created by Miami Heat center and our all-time draft #1 pick, Bam Adebayo.
Greatest player in NBA history.
The best player in NBA history. Like Bam himself, these dental dams are versatile. They can cover sex positions 1 through 5, from the quick, elusive tongues to powerful, less mobile anuses. Most dental dams can't cover a ball sack just as easily as they swaddle a perineum, but the damn Autobio can do it. The product relies on the most advanced synthetic fibers and the wisdom of Pat Riley, who became a licensed prophylactic expert during post-game orgies in the forum in the 80s. Slammed Up listeners can buy one and get one free damn Autobio for a limited time with promo code Climax Control Condoms coated with benzocaine. Talk about it all the time on the
we
thank
do.
you.
We talk about it all the time. Unfortunately.
Damn Autobio. Switchy coverage. Well, all right. Thank you, damn Autobio. So this is the point in the podcast where we kind of aggregate all the chatter that's been going on about the Chinese virus. This is what I've been hearing, and again, my sources are the unlicensed speakeasy bathhouse I go to on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'll give you the news story, and you let me know what you think. First of all, the 5G towers of Wuhan are still emitting radiation, but the Chinese government won't let an independent international agency led by my good friend Elon Musk to investigate.
They're all pedos over there.
They're all pedos. They're all he's still sailing a submarine into the Taiwan harbor. Primarily, that is a rescue effort for No Tech Ben, but he's hoping to tour the places of Wuhan and bring some homemade ventilators there. Now, personally, I don't know about you, Randy. I'm keeping all my devices in airplane mode, and I only connect on our secure, hardwired fiber network in the bunker/dungeon.
Mm-hmm. I am actually connected to 5G already based on the cap accident I was in that shrunk me, so probably a good idea to leave me to continue fighting the 5G radiation by myself.
Great. That's fantastic. All right, I will be Twitch streaming later talking about the Monsanto China depopulation theory. As you know, this was triggered when Daryl Morey tweeted in support of the Hong Kong protests and in support of organic produce. As you know, there's a lot of sides to this complex issue, but I disagree with my colleague Joe Rogan that Yao Ming was necessarily involved. He could have been. He is part of the deep state, but I'm going to take a wait-and-see attitude until we get results from the chemtrail analysis from the province of Guangdong.
Mm-hmm.
So, definite deep stater, though. He's part of the swamp.
Sounds right.
We also learned that Dr. Fauci is a top with men and a bottom with women. So that's important to know.
I don't have much to say about that one.
Nope. They are continuing the vaccine trials in Area 51. Scientists are struggling with the implantable microchips that are going to accompany the mass vaccine, presumably so the government can track our eating and sleeping habits to presumably recommend a more efficient nutritional and lifestyle schedule. I am all for it and have voluntarily implanted 2 of my own.
What are your microchips tracking?
Well, one of them is for synergy data, to see the movements I have around the apartment. It's also supposed to optimize my sexual performance. And then the other microchip is all about nutrition and the growth of my bones. My bones are still growing.
You do have freakishly large bones.
I have bone spurs on all my joints.
Have you considered one for sleep data that you could send to NBA teams?
I'm ready to put in a third microchip if that's what it takes.
Okay, good.
Actually, speaking of my weird bones, I want to talk about one more sponsor. Now, Randy, one thing about quarantine is it's hard to maintain your flexibility, especially when you have a lanky, almost physics-defying body like mine. I think someone once said that it was like a scarecrow and a cell tower went through that machine from The Fly. It gives me a look that people have called athletic Slenderman, and like Picasso painted Sean Bradley while he was on mescaline. But now, there's an online yoga class for a big man like me. It's called Yoga Feral. It's the traditional Indian exercise art from Sacramento Kings guard, Yogi Ferrell. He teaches a daily Bikram yoga class, the hot yoga style invented by my good friend, Bikram Chowdhury. Hashtag free Bikram, hashtag sliding scale Bikram. This program is pay what you want, but Yogi reserves the right to back out of the deal, even after you've agreed on what you're going to pay for the Zoom link. Best of all, you get a taller, more talented instructor who handles most of the class, while Yogi comes off the mat to lead 12 to 14 minutes of the session. But the efficiency numbers for those poses are off the charts. Someday he puts students through too many poses, and his downward-facing dog is a little inaccurate, but I love a volume stretcher. Thanks to this class, I've been able to touch my toes for the first time since the 2004 Democratic National Convention, where I was a non-voting delegate for Dennis Kucinich, who actually cast my vote for Howard Dean after some backroom dealing. You can get I got some water rights in exchange.
I would have pegged you as more of a Ron Paul man.
Well, I mean, once you're a delegate, you optimize what you have. So I traded the vote, and I'm the owner of some soon-to-be valuable water rights in the upcoming Water Wars, which should
Mhm.
follow the... you can get an extended version of Yoga Feral classes with promo codes just for our listeners. Just enter promo code JJ Barea XY Feet Pics. It's easy to remember. We talk about it on the podcast all the time.
Not on this one.
Yoga Feral. Stretch with him before the kings use the stretch provision on him. And one more thing I want to say in the Chinese Virus Hourly podcast. My father died of the coronavirus last night.
I'm sorry?
Yep, my father dead of the coronavirus. It's not really that much of a tragedy. He was 61 years old, which means he made it 34
ripe old
years
age.
past the point he really died. Right?
Mhm.
He was essentially a walking corpse.
Much, he was post prime.
Yeah, and so I've got a lot of memories of my dad before he left. I remember watching NBA games with my dad, and if I charted all the screen assists, I got to look at a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue for 3.5 minutes. My dad would actually blow kind of a shot clock alarm at the end of that, so it might have affected my sexuality going forward. I remember sitting in the backyard with my dad with our calculators, listening to audiobooks by Ross Jeffries about how to pick up women through neurolinguistic programming. We've had Ross on the podcast before. He's fantastic. I also remember watching Michael Jordan hit that shot over Brian Russell in the 1998 NBA Finals. I can still remember high-fiving my father's mistress while that happened. He was on a business trip to Thailand. And last of all, as the final tribute to my dad, I want to thank the U.S. Congress for their quick response to the pandemic by repealing the capital gains tax, saving me a bundle on this inheritance. Definitely. Randy, have you crunched the numbers and seen what's the most efficient burial?
Oh, just put him in a trash can. Throw him in the ocean.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was thinking about the cremation, but I really think that a garbage barge is the way to go.
I was gonna say I didn't realize that you are like Todd Marinovich, but for math and perverts.
I mean, I guess so. Todd's a friend. He and I do meet at that bathhouse on Thursdays.
You're a little
talk
bit
about the
like
good times.
Tiger Woods, but if the golf part was analytics and the sex part was the same.
You said the Tiger Woods of analytics. I'm going to put that on my,
That
my
is
LinkedIn
not what I
profile.
said.
Yeah,
I'm
Tiger
just-
Woods of analytics. Ellipsis sex. I think that was what you said. Do we have any other NBA news to throw in here?
Just that they asked the players whether they should come back. Like they're taking the players' advice
Why
about
are they
whether they
even
should
listening
come back.
to them?
That was going to be my question.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
It's the owners should decide. What's best for money is best for everyone. Never forget.
You do your talking on the stat sheet and the cap sheet, and otherwise you shut your mouth. All right,
Okay, I'm done.
Randy, do you have anything? Go ahead. Sorry, Randy.
I know. I just said I'm done. I have to get back
Oh.
on this Zoom call.
Do you have anything to plug?
If you have $150,000, you can join a Zoom meeting where Joe Biden will tell you a story about how beautiful his son's hair is.
Oh, that sounds great. Actually, I heard a story like that on the bathhouse. As for
That's
me,
the low tier donor.
Mhm.
That's the low tier donation.
You can see I'll be playing old erotic Atari games on my Twitch channel. That's going to be every night from 9:30 to 2:30 a.m. Ideally, that game where you're standing on top of a building and you have to catch boobs. Should be great. Join me for
Oh,
that.
that old school. I thought you were talking like Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh no. Although Leisure Suit Larry, he is a friend, but no. I'm going way back. This is going to be very retro.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I'm
great.
actually going to be going through and playing the best erotic video game from each year, but I'm only at 1983 right now.
So you're at like Custer's Revenge? Is that what that was called?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. 5 hours a night, so check it out. And that's it. Thank you for subscribing. Join the Patreon. Donate. Tip us. Contribute to the GoFundMe. To help Randy get more radiation treatment. You can also.
I don't need it. I'm pretty. Got a lot of jewels.
We want to see what
Radiation
happens. We
pumping
really,
through my
the fans
body.
want to see what happens. We want to see what happens.
Well, if the fans want to see it, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. Tip us, the GoFundMe, and of course, my OnlyFans is currently doing a 25% off promotion if you have rebilling on.
Wait, did it get unsuspended?
Well, it's actually Brett Slamson, and the A is an @ symbol, and the O is a 0 because we're still having some talks about the accuracy of some of the political content I had during one of my cam shows.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Randy, say hi to my friend Corn Pop for me, and have a great time with the Biden campaign. Sean and Joey, back to you.
Cool, dude. That was the weirdest one yet.
They're
coronavirus truthers now, and there's a podcast within a podcast about the coronavirus that he's running for some reason.
The podcast within the podcast within the podcast with us.
No, we signed a terrible contract with them.
They both have a legal background.
Mm-hmm. And a political one. The other one's got a political one.
They own our show, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to our Blue Chew ad reads next week.
Sean, anything you need to plug?
I have a Patrick Ewing on next week. There's a Michael Jordan versus LeBron James comparison article on Yardbarker. Guess who I said was the best player of all time, Joey?
Michael Jordan.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And I was also correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue. There's only one other person I think you could argue over.
My dad would say it's Bill Russell.
Well, your dad is incorrect. You could argue Kareem, I think.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah.
Yeah. But people don't like Kareem because he's kind of unlikable, but I love him. I love Kareem. Kareem rules. Yeah.
He's my favorite NBA Hall of Famer who's ours.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I love Sherlock Holmes. All right. As for me, you can always follow me on Twitter at Frankie Muniz, where May 10th I tweeted my jump rope just snapped in half and whipped me in the back. FML equals Frankie Muniz's life.
I gotta say, that is an all-timer.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Like, sometimes Frankie tweets something and you're like, they should just make a plaque for this one right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sean, did you write a song?
I did.
Great. What is it?
Well, with this one. You can hear it, actually.
All right. Well, that's playing. Okay? Yeah, that's playing right now. We'll be back with a Patreon episode in a few days, probably. Trust the process.
Trust the process.
And shut it down. I don't ever want to hear Brett Slamson's voice ever again.
Superstars on a conference call. NBA trying to be smart. Dr. Fauci weighing in. Might be 5 months till a restart. Stephen A. yelled and told us they might play in a theme park. Rajon Rondo can't stop watching his hands, and Jokic ignores the calorie chart. I miss slam dunks, House of Highlights, Chuck on TNT, pre-game fits, trash talking, Steph Curry hitting threes. My brain starved for entertainment. I had nothing left to watch. Can't get into Korean baseball. There's only 6 seasons of Bosch, and all the long switching players, and all the tall Cameroonian players, and all the infected Jazz players, and all the Fortnite-loving players. I never thought I'd miss Houston Rockets players. Left James Harden off the conference call. It started trending on Twitter. He's only eating wings in quarantine. and spending lots of time on the shitter. Locking media inside Disney World to complete their TV contract. Franchise values are about to crash. Teams are more overpriced than John Concat. I think I saw Joel Embiid break quarantine, drinking Shirley Temple's cold and long, taunting and tweeting and clutching his knee. Don't think his career's gonna be long. And we're bored, and we're home, and no one's options are vesting. And I thought of Kawhi, and even he's sick of resting. His hair is monotone, the way that he skies. I miss him, he's boring, but he's still a fun guy. We've got 5 months stuck all inside. 5 months to keep the coaches alive. 5 months for the title quest. 5 months to hoard 10,000 tests. We've got 5 months watching The Last Dance. 5 months look at MJ's huge pants. 5 months no one's getting paid. 5 months before Giannis demands a trade. We've got 5 months. They still don't have a plan. 5 months. Mama, there goes that man. We've got 5 months. The shutdown's not cool. 5 months. Trump shacked in a fool. We've got 5 months. Wear a mask when you fight. 5 months. Richard Hamilton's sight. 5 months to make sure it's safe. 5